In 1500 BC, a Phoenician merchant sat on a beach. He had a problem. He needed to send a message to another trader 300 miles away. He couldn't go himself. He couldn't send a trusted messenger. So he picked up a piece of pottery and carved something into it. 30 marks. That's all. 30 marks that someone else could understand without him being there to explain it. Before this moment, that wasn't possible. Writing existed. Egypt had hieroglyphics. Mesopotamia had cuneiform. But both required years of training. Both required hundreds of symbols. Both required you to be born into the priesthood or the royal court. If you were a merchant, a farmer, a soldier, a mother, you had no access to written language. Your thoughts died with you. Your knowledge vanished when you did. The Phoenicians changed that. They reduced writing to 22 symbols, 22 marks that represented sounds, not ideas. This is the critical shift nobody talks about. Every other writing system was logographic. One symbol meant one word or one concept. Egyptian scribes needed to memorize 600 symbols just to read basic texts. Mesopotamian scribes needed even more. But the Phoenicians did something radical. They made each symbol represent a single sound. A stood for the sound A. B stood for B. They called these symbols letters, not words, and that single decision rewired human civilization. Why is this so important? Because now anyone could learn to read. Not in a decade, not in years, in weeks. A child could memorize 22 sounds faster than a priest could memorize 200 symbols. Within a single generation, literacy stopped being a gatekeeping tool for the elite. It became accessible. The Phoenicians weren't trying to revolutionize humanity. They were traders. They needed a system that worked fast, that traveled, that other merchants could learn quickly. They built the alphabet out of pure practicality, and that practicality accidentally democratized knowledge. Here's what happened next. The Greeks encountered Phoenician traders on their coasts. They saw the system. They borrowed it. They added vowels, which the Phoenicians had left out. They called it the Greek alphabet. Then the Romans saw the Greek alphabet. They borrowed it, stripped it down, made it simpler. They called it the Latin alphabet. And that Latin alphabet became the foundation for English, Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, and dozens of other languages that today are spoken by billions of people. Think about that chain. One Phoenician merchant with a practical problem created a system that 4,000 years later, you're using right now to read these words. But here's what's more interesting. The invention of the alphabet didn't just change how people communicated, it changed how people thought. Before alphabetic writing, human memory worked differently. Oral cultures had to memorize everything: stories, genealogies, laws, recipes. They developed mnemonic techniques that we've mostly forgotten. They could remember thousands of lines of poetry by heart. Their brains were wired for memory in a way that literate brains are not. But the moment writing became accessible, brains changed. Neuroscientists have studied this. When people learn to read and write, the visual cortex reorganizes. New neural pathways form. Your brain literally rewires itself. You gain the ability to think in abstract symbols, to reason logically across pages, to argue with written text from someone who's been dead for centuries. Oral cultures think differently than literate cultures. They think in narratives, in stories, in what's immediate and present. Written cultures think in arguments, in hierarchies, in what's logical and abstract. The Phoenicians didn't just invent a writing system. They set in motion a transformation of human consciousness itself. So why did literacy spread so fast after the alphabet was invented? Because it was useful. A merchant could send an invoice. A farmer could keep records. A government could send laws. An individual person could send a message that their child could read after they were gone. For the first time in human history, your thoughts could outlive you without needing someone else to memorize them. Before the alphabet, knowledge belonged to the people who held it in their heads. After the alphabet, knowledge belonged to anyone who could read. That shift cascaded through everything. It made science possible. You can't build on previous discoveries if you have to memorize them all. Written language let each generation stand on the shoulders of the last one. It made law possible. You can't have consistent legal systems if laws are only memorized and recited. Written law is the same law for everyone. It made democracy possible. You can't have informed citizens voting on complex issues without written information. The Phoenicians invented the alphabet so they could send invoices. They accidentally created the conditions for democracy, science, and individual freedom. The alphabet is the reason you believe you can improve yourself. The alphabet is why self-help books exist. The alphabet is why you can read someone else's thoughts and decide to change your life based on ideas that were written down 500 years ago. Without the alphabet, self-improvement would be impossible. Knowledge would die with the person who held it. Today, most of us take literacy for granted. We assume everyone can read, but even now, roughly 700 million people on Earth can't read or write. They're cut off from the knowledge that the Phoenicians democratized 4,000 years ago. They're living in a cognitive reality closer to oral culture than to literate culture. They have access to less information, less choice, less ability to shape their own futures. The alphabet wasn't invented by a genius. It was invented by a merchant who needed to send a message. It wasn't created as a philosophical statement about freedom and knowledge. It was created out of pure economic necessity. And yet, it became the most powerful tool for human liberation ever created. That's the pattern nobody talks about. The biggest changes in human civilization don't come from grand plans. They come from practical solutions to immediate problems. The Phoenician merchant didn't know he was changing the world. He just needed to send an invoice.